Welcome to the next episode of our Lives in Italy podcast, where we talk to famous people who also love Italy as much as us. Today's guest is Carmela Hayes, author of 4 and soon to be 5 Italian cookbooks, specialist pasta maker, cooking event demonstrator, recipe developer, food writer, and also the founder and chef of a sellout supper club. So grab your cappuccino, relax, and listen to us wax lyrical about all things Italian. Okay, welcome to the next episode of our Lives in Italy podcast, and our very special guest today is Carmela Hayes. Good morning, Carmela. How are you?
Good morning. I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
Very fine this Friday morning. Thanks for joining us. Thank you for giving up your time to have a chat with us today. We've sort of messaged each other on Twitter, and we maybe sort of tried to meet up at all the shows that you do in Northamptonshire and stuff like that. So it's good to meet virtually. Just looking at what I know about you. So from what I know so far is that you're of Italian parentage, but you grew up in Little Italy in Bedford. Do you want to tell me a little bit more about that then?
Little Italy. I love it. I think I'm such a proud Bedfordian. Because back in the day when I was a child in the late 70s, it really was Little Italy. Bedford was the hub. It had such a feeling of being Little Italy. On every street corner you had an Italian deli. When you walk down the street, you'd see someone that you knew from the Italian community. It was such a tight community of people. You could walk down the street and easily fall into someone's house that was an auntie or a distant relative or someone of someone else that you know. But it was lovely. I've still got family in Bedford. I was born in Bedford in 1977, and I lived in the actual town in Queen's Park for 8 years, and then we moved out then into a northern Bedfordshire village onto a farm. Okay. And we kind of still within Bedfordshire, but obviously we just came out. It's where my nonna, when they emigrated in 1960, it's where they ended up. So she's still in the same house. And that's where my parents, obviously, or my aunties and uncles grew up as well. So there's kind of a real comfort in Bedford, because there are so many things that always bring me back there. When I think of Bedford, I think of Nonna, who is 92. She used to work at the chocolate factory at the Meltis in Bedford.
I know it.
And that's where whenever anyone emigrated, all of the nonnas that weren't nonnas at the time, obviously they were just mothers, would all work at the Meltis factory, and all the nonnos, the fathers, would all go to Stevenage Brickworks. So it's kind of such a there's such a history. If I speak to anybody I went to school with, you will find the same kind of story. Nonnas would work at the Meltis, and grandfathers at the brickworks.
Yeah. So did that sort of start your love of food? This sort of tight Italian community in Bedford, is that where it started?
Well, I've always loved food. I love all food, but I was actually very late to anything else. Chinese, Indian cooking. I didn't really have any of that until I was about 19 or 20. Okay. Because at home, we had Italian food. I was brought up with Italian food, home-cooked Italian food. And, the odd occasion Mum would make, I don't know, things like, if it was British food, it'd be like sausage and mash, or it would be a shepherd's pie, but the shepherd's pie would be an Italian shepherd's pie.
Italianize everything.
Yeah, absolutely. We never had roast dinners. Yeah. So I very rarely cook a roast dinner. Because I was never raised with roast dinners. We'd always have Sunday pasta, and that could be lasagna or cannelloni or stuffed pasta shells. It was always generally like a, kind of a baked pasta dish. But my love of Italian food, I think, comes very much from family, but from these delis that I mention. When I was young and my sister was young, on a Saturday morning, Mum would always take us to whoever's deli it was, Valerio's deli or wherever we went, and we'd go in, and Mum would say, right, you two, I want you to sit down, choose your panino, I want you to sit down and let me get on with my shopping. So me and my sister would both sit down in the corner with a gorgeous kind of crisp panino with the most finely cut mortadella you can find, and that's it. So dry bread, mortadella, and we sat in the corner, and I swear to God, that made, and do you know, as an adult, as a 44-year-old woman now, that would make my weekend now. The smell, it's the smell, Craig. I can't explain to you. The smell of mortadella is a comfort, but it instinctively and immediately takes me back to being a 4-year-old little girl, you know, sitting on, you know, the step, you know, the dusty old floor in the deli, and I absolutely loved it. I'd magic myself back there at any moment. So
yeah, it's, as you said, it's sort of like, you know, the smell and the smell of the food and all the little sort of peripheral things around it. It always sort of evokes memories. It's like me with, you know, if and when I go back to England, first thing I always gravitate towards is fish and chips.
Yeah, you see, it's kind of that comfort, isn't it? The sense of home.
Yeah, and it's always the case because I was lucky enough to be brought up on the coast in England. So I always have my favourite fish and chip shop that I go to. Sort of sit on the seaside, no matter what the weather, wrapped in newspaper. And as you said, it's like, again, you know, like I'm a 4 or 5-year-old child. It's just those memories that is attached to food that sort of, you know, people like you and me love, for example. You said that you didn't learn sort of things like Chinese and Indian cooking until you were sort of 19 or 20. As far as Italian food was concerned, was it sort of weekends in the kitchen with Mama and Nonna that sort of sparked your love of cooking?
No, you know, in all honesty, absolutely not. I wasn't allowed in the kitchen. With my Nonna, yes. I'd make fresh pasta with her, and my sister and I would sit and we'd stand on the little steps, and Nonna would make the pasta and we'd eat it raw. As she's rolling it, we're kind of stealing one of the cicatelli or the orecchiette, and we're nibbling them, and my sister still does it now. But with my mum was very much, you know, she was a homemaker. She was a fantastic mum, she still is, and a fantastic cook, but she was very much, I'm cooking, don't come and bother me. So I never really had, you know, that whimsical story of, yes, I used to watch my mum cook and that's the reason why. So no, I never really had that. I always had the interest, but never gravitated to it. I think in a way because I wasn't welcomed, and I don't mean that in a negative way. Mum just wanted to get on and you know, produce, you know, lovely food that was simple, mind, but equally delicious, but without me kind of, you know, my sister under her feet. So I don't really see that, I suppose, as a negative. I suppose my love of food really came when, or my love of cooking, should I say, because I love food more than I think I should. But my love of cooking definitely came from when I got married.
Me too.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think when I got married and had my own children, and all of a sudden it was like, right, okay, let's you know, let's try and recreate. Yeah. You know, and then it was like, right, Mum, how did you make this? Nonna, how did you make this? And then obviously, you know, there you go. It's kind of, you know, I wanted to know everything. And I think as an adult, as a woman, you know, my inquisitive mind has most definitely taken me, you know, to the interesting realms, as it were, you know, within the, you know, within the family kitchens. And what I love now, actually, is my mum will phone me up and go, Melly, how did you make this? Or Melly, how do you do that? Melly, can you remind me again of how you do this? Okay. And I can't tell you how proud that makes me, because she is my mum, who's called Solidea. She is my, you've got Nonna, who's like the matriarch. She's kind of the head of the family. She tells us, you know, she's still very much in the know of everything. But it is my mum who I thank daily for, you know, her support over the last 20 years in advising me and helping me and influencing me very much in my my love of cooking. And now she takes kind of, notes from me, which is quite incredible, really.
Yeah, so. As you said, sort of the sense of pride attached to that is amazing. We've, where we live in Italy, we've got the Italian family who own the apartment living downstairs. It's like a 2-floor house that's been split in two. And one weekend, my wife, Lisa, who is an infinitely better cook than I am, said to the family downstairs, okay, for tomorrow, you come to us, we'll cook for you. And the look of terror on both our faces when we were looking at the family, sort of looking at them thinking, do they like it? Do they not like it? Are they going to be polite? Are they going to be not? And then all of a sudden, as I say, the matriarch of the family just went, oh, buona. It's that, oh, there is a God. Thank you. Just the sense of, the approval that you get from the masters of cooking with that particular quiz.
Better.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
Food. It kind of instinctively just makes that bad day. If you have a bowl of pasta or a slice of pizza or a chicken cotolette or something, that little bit better, and my kids, I swear to God, they open their eyes before they've even had breakfast. They'll go, what's for dinner tonight?
They're Italian.
Because we want to know what we're having so that we can get through, the rest of the day, knowing that when I get home, we're going to have something, scrumptious. It's difficult to please everybody, but inevitably we get there in the end. But
yeah, I mean, in the 5 years that I've been living here, my blood hasn't become Italian because I still, like today, it's just too hot. But the one thing that has become Italian is my stomach. It's now rumbles at exactly the right time for all the meals. So
staying power now. You can sit at that dinner table. That's what I love, and it's difficult when you've got children because they're up and out. 6 minutes, they're throwing that food down. Can't leave the table, Mum. And I'm like, oh, just go.
Yeah.
And
like you said, just sort of sitting down and sort of to plow your way through a meal rather than sort of have it as something mechanical. So, I mean, you've had your sort of upbringing, your Italian upbringing, and then finally maybe being allowed into the kitchen to join in the cooking. So then your love of cooking then blossomed into a career. So how did that happen? Where did you go with that?
Bit of an odd one, if I'm honest. It was a strange one. I think I've never been completely fulfilled in whatever I've kind of carried out as a career. And I have to admit, I was never career-minded. I always wanted to get married, have children, just have an Italian family, as it were. And I did, and I have, and I had children, from 25 up until I was 31. I had 4 children.
Okay.
Absolutely. And during that time, I trained to become a chiropodist. So strange.
Okay.
I know. I know. So
bit of a left field thing, but.
But I trained to become a chiropodist, and I qualified when I found out I was pregnant with my 4th daughter, Chiara, and I was elated. I just really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the profession. I enjoyed having my own clinic. I used to travel. It was fantastic, and I held my business for about 4 years, and then I loved it, but it wasn't fulfilling me because I was so interested in food, and I always have been, and I never did anything about it until one day, and this is the really strange thing. So when my children were all really young, me and the other, mums around here went to the park one sunny kind of summer afternoon, what have you, and we were there for about 6 or 7 hours because having 4 children, it's just a lot easier to be out, believe it or not, than being home and having, kind of stresses at home. So we had a lovely day at the park, and I came home, and I remember I made, we went to the park, because that's my first P, park, and then I made pastina for my children, and I made prawns for my husband, and it just made me laugh. So we went to the park, I made pastina, and then my husband had prawns. And I was just like, gosh. And I just looked at him, and I just went, I'm going to start one of those blog things. And he was like, oh, what? And I was like, well, I think I'm going to just start writing. And I wasn't on social media. And that was it. I walked into the kitchen. I was like, what am I going to call my blog? And I like my name. So I just went, well, Carmelas. And he just went, and I live in my kitchen. And I was like, well, that's it. So 2012, I sold my business for pittance. And just started writing, and then people were saying, oh, these recipes, can you teach me? So then I started teaching, and then I got my first book deal, and then it kind of just went from there. I just love what I do, because I think, because I'm self-employed, you take the rough with the smooth.
Yeah, exactly.
So you take the good with the bad, and the ups with the downs, and the no work with the I can't cope, I've got too much work. But since then, my work fits around my family, and I've not looked back since. So now I'm writing, my 5th book comes out in October this year, Pasta Fresca.
Okay.
Northern and Central Italian family cooking came out May last year.
Which I've got.
Yes, that's actually my favourite. And then I had an online book come out during lockdown that I was asked to write, and I've obviously got the pasta fresca, and a passion for pasta, and Southern Italian family cooking, which the first book, Southern Italian family cooking, is my childhood. It's my childhood, it's every recipe is what we grew up eating. I was a family that you'd wake up on Christmas Eve morning and you'd walk down the stairs to the smell of squid cooking in a rich tomato sauce, because that's what we'd be having.
Oh God, I'm getting hungry.
Yeah, and it was just that book in particular evokes my childhood and memories and happiness and sad times and jubilations, and festas that we have. It's great. Yeah, so I'm very lucky. I'm very lucky to be in a position where I can write, I teach, I travel the UK, and it's and last year, so March last year, I should have started teaching in Italy, but still not got there due to COVID. But I'm not sweating it. We'll get there when everyone's safe, and we can resume as best as we can. But in this time, I'm very, very lucky.
Yeah, as you said, sort of, get things kicked off again when everybody can open up safely. But
yeah, of course,
because as you said, you're the first book that I sort of where I discovered your Southern Italian family cooking book. Because your family, as I understand it, sort of originate from Puglia, which is sort of
the other side.
Yeah, just the other side of me. What sort of things do you know about Calabria, where we live?
I mean, I'm going to be honest with you, not overly a great deal. I've been to Calabria twice, when I was very, very small, actually. The book really covers more of the areas that I've been to and visited, which would be Molise, which is quite an undiscovered region. Nobody goes there because it's so barren and so industrial, and so I'm not going to say the word poor. However, there's not a great deal there in terms of jobs and things like that. But I've got lots of family there. My auntie Rita, who we adore, and lots of my cousins are there. And Puglia, my dad was born in Foggia, in Castelluccio Valmaggiore.
Okay, yes.
And loads of my family have come from there. We've got family in Naples. But Calabria, I mean, I know Calabria for, its fantastic pasta, for its nduja, for its love of chilies, for, the wonderful, array of food that comes from that particular region. It's a very lucky region to have you, and you're very lucky to, to have its place there.
Yeah, I'm infinitely grateful for where we live, because we have a fabulous community here. We were accepted from the first day we moved in. From my apartment, I can see the coastline and the beach, and then out of the other window, I can see Mount Etna, which incidentally, when Italy won the semi-final last night, almost exactly on the final whistle, Mount Etna erupted.
Really?
Yeah. It was if it was celebrating. It was very, very weird.
As long as it went back to sleep.
Yeah, it's snoring at the moment, so we keep a careful eye on it. But I suppose now that both semi-finals have gone past as well, Italy-England final.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, I'm married to a Mancunian. So, my house the other day when England were in the semi-finals just was an uproar. It was, it's jubilation, and there's me sitting there quietly crying in my hands, and our house is completely divided. There's 6 of us, husband and 4 children, and we've got my husband and Rocco, my eldest son, are very strong England supporters, and you've got me, Natalia, my eldest daughter, and Santino. We're Italian all the way, and then you've got my youngest daughter Chiara, who just says, "I just want everyone to win." So she's on the fence, doesn't want to upset anybody, but it's kind of one of those things that I want Italy to win because that's the Italian in me. But I'm born here. I'm as British as anyone else as well. So it's kind of a, it'd be great for England to win. It'd just be great. It made my husband incredibly happy, which means that, it's all good all round, isn't it?
Exactly.
But my husband said yesterday, was it this morning, he went, "We've got to the final. As far as he's concerned, they've already won," which is a really nice way to look at it. So I just said on Sunday, I don't want any arguing. I want everyone to just enjoy the game. So but we'll see. So it's a great opportunity and a great chance for two fantastic countries, to be fair.
Yeah.
But Italy, the England team is brilliant. I mean, Gareth Southgate, he's a star. He's doing really well. But the Italian football team for me they're just wild. They're fantastic. So let's see.
As you said, sort of Gareth Southgate. I mean, I love football and rugby myself. So being originally from Middlesbrough, I'm a Middlesbrough fan. So Gareth Southgate was a player and a manager. As far as I'm concerned, he can do no wrong. But if I'm being brutally honest, Carmela, I think for Sunday, I think it's going to be a case of that Italy, I think, are going to play us off the park, to be honest.
I don't know. I think it's very much even Stevens at the minute. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll wait and see. But
yeah, definitely.
So Sunday, I'll be down to the local pizza place along with everybody else because they're having a Giro pizza evening. So I'll be doing that. So watching with the locals, and whoever wins, it'll be a good night out. So just a few other questions, just to sort of quickly finish off, because I don't want to keep you too long. Obviously, people obviously sort of like to recreate stuff from cookbooks at home and things like that. Do you have any sort of tips for a home cook? Some sort of fail-safe things, for example, things that maybe everybody should know.
That's a tricky one, really. When it comes to cookbooks, now I know I write cookbooks, but I also buy cookbooks. I love cookbooks, and I always think that space is the big thing. So if you've got room, then get some nice books or buy some key cookbooks, whoever your favourite cooks are, and cook 1 or 2 recipes from them, but don't think you can never achieve something. 3 of my books are paperback books that have no images in them, and you get people that say, "Oh, well, I like that," and I'm very much, well, I like to cook from books like that because I haven't got a vision of something that I need to cook and make it look like this fantastic picture. A lot of my food doesn't look like that. It's family cooking. It's what it is, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
And then you get a lot of people that say, "I won't buy your book because it's got no photos in it, and I like to see what I'm cooking," which is another, absolutely, people put their opinions. So I always think if you've got, you'll use even the internet, you look at things, you look at pictures. Don't worry too much about, the end result. If you're a new cook, always experiment. If you haven't got, I don't know, if you haven't got 00 flour and you've only got semola flour, use semola flour. If you haven't got eggs, you can use water to make pasta. If you haven't got golden caster sugar, you can use normal caster sugar or granulated sugar. I think a lot of people follow recipes to the T, or if they haven't got all those ingredients, they won't do that recipe. And I don't follow any recipe to the T. I kind of just throw things in. With baking, it's a little bit different. You need to be slightly more scientific about it. But
yeah, exactly.
but generally, I would always say one of my main tips would be keep your Parmigiano Reggiano rinds, any of your cheese rinds, because they make and add incredible flavour to sauces.
Superb
I would
tip.
say soffritto is incredibly important. So celery, carrot and onion, or I go for fennel, celery and shallots, anything like that with garlic into it, make the fantastic bases of our sauces, whether it be a red sauce or a white sauce. I use vermouth instead of white vermouth, dry vermouth when I make risotto instead of white wine.
Okay.
So it's always in the cupboard. You get a bottle, just whack it in the cupboard. It's always there. You don't need to save white wine to make it, or you don't need to open a bottle to make it. You can just enjoy it and drink it yourself. So vermouth works really well. There's so many things. Use your tomato vines when you have fresh tomatoes in your sauces, because they add fantastic tomatoey notes, and you just discard them when you serve.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, there's loads I could tell you. Chickpea water, ballotti bean water, cannellini bean water. All of those get added, into my sauces. So there's very little waste. The Southern Italian in me has no waste.
Yeah.
There's minimum waste. So open your fridge, look what's in your fridge, and kind of go from there. And I always say, if anybody wants, they can get me on all my social media channels, Carmela's Kitchen. You can ask me questions. Say, Carmela, I've got this, and this in the fridge. What do you reckon? What can I make? And I can help. But all those little shortcuts and those little tips for getting maximum flavour out of your kind of your cupboard essentials, as it were, is the best thing.
Because like you said, it's sort of the typical Italian way is not to waste anything. I think when I first started cooking, it was when I was 18 and left to go to university, and I'd do victory laps of the kitchen if I was able to do beans on toast correctly.
Yeah.
And then somebody got me, what was it? Oh yeah, Nigel Slater's Appetite book.
Fantastic.
And then it was that point, it was like, the cloud had been lifted. It was a revelation. It's like, okay. Recipes are not sort of restrictive. You can experiment,
yeah, you absolutely can. If you can't get hold of rainbow chard, you can use cavolo nero, you can use spinach. There's so many kind of different things, that you can use, and you can bulk dishes out by adding lentils, beans and pulses. There's so many choices nowadays. I think we're so very lucky with the quality of ingredients that we have to hand. But I always say, I think the main thing really when it comes to cooking is to buy seasonally. I'm kind of quite a stickler for that, as much as I can be. My children still stay in the middle of winter. When can we have strawberries again? And you're not until the summer. So my children are now kind of, we can't have those, can we, mummy, until the summertime. And one of my daughters is nearly vegetarian. Mum, when can I have asparagus again? And I'm like, right, you've got eight weeks that you can have asparagus.
Yeah, we'll let you know.
Yeah, that's it. So it's finished now, and yeah, so it's kind of buy within the seasons if you can, and because everything tastes so much better.
Yeah,
and grow your own if you can.
Yeah, exactly.
Whether it's on a window box and it's some fresh herbs, it really, these little things, yeah, definitely grow your own.
Yeah. I mean, that's another thing that we love the family for downstairs. Not only do they grow their own stuff downstairs and bring it up, we've got, they redid their outdoor kitchen a few weeks ago and put in some more planters. And then we came back from work one day and the father was sort of going, come here, I want to show you something. They built us a whole garden upstairs sort of stone planters because they knew that we liked growing our own fruit and veg as well. And as you said, there's nothing better than picking your own.
Oh, it just isn't a tomato off the vine.
Yeah, they'll say, looks as if we're going to have a glut of tomatoes fairly shortly. But
Great.
So, I mean, you're obviously a fanatical home cook, but even you have to have a night off. So, if you decide to eat out, what would be your ideal meal, do you think?
I eat everything. I mean, I enjoy absolutely anything. Believe it or not, if I'm with the family and we go out for dinner, we will always go for Italian.
Okay, yeah.
Because my eldest, one of my sons, Santino, is all he'll eat is Italian food. So it just makes our lives a little bit easier. But I generally, eat anything and eat everything. There's nothing that I favour more. I probably do love Italian food more than anything else, but equally I'm mad for curries and Chinese and Thai and Japanese. I don't really have necessarily a preference. But my desert island dish would be my mum's lasagna with boiled eggs, a nice ragu, nice sugo, loads of parmigiano, mozzarella, and no bechamel. And it's just layered, and it's if she ever asks me, and she does quite often, what should I cook for dinner, or what do you want to have, or and I'll always say, always lasagna, mum. And it doesn't matter how good a cook you are, trying to replicate something that your mum's made it's just impossible. It's just impossible. I've stood with her, I've made it with her, and still, I swear to God, she's hiding some secrets from me, because mine still does not taste like my mum's.
Yeah, there's something that she's not given you in her little black book of recipes, certainly. But when you were describing that, it's getting on towards 12 o'clock here, and my stomach, I'm surprised it's not being picked up on the microphone, for example. So if in your kitchen then, what 3 things could you not be without, do you think?
In my kitchen, I would probably say, in terms of what utensil-y, kind of like equipment-wise.
Utensils, ingredients, anything in your kitchen.
Okay. What ingredients-wise would have to be extra virgin olive oil.
Okay, yeah.
It's just 3 is just impossible, isn't it? But I'm going to have to say salt. Extra virgin olive oil. I'm going to have to say salt, and I'm going to have to say tinned tomatoes.
Yeah.
But in all my cookbooks, I put my larder ingredients at the back, because I like to have a stocked larder. So I've got quite a lot of key ingredients. But yeah, I'd say salt, extra virgin olive oil, and tinned tomatoes, pelati tomatoes or cherry tomatoes. And in terms of equipment, I would definitely say a food processor. Okay. My Mercato pasta machine, and a good sharp knife.
Yes. Yeah. Good. Yeah. People buy sort of about 57 knives from these TV deals. Yeah. 1, they won't last, and 2, they go blunt. Just get a good knife, something that will last you a lifetime. We've gone through all your history then, Carmela. So now things, fingers crossed, are starting to open up. So what are your plans for the year then?
Well, at the moment, I'm just writing a proposal for my next cookbook, which I need to get cracking on, really, and see if it will be accepted. So that's my job until the end of August. And now, I mean, I work for about 6 cookery schools in the UK. And because Boris has now decided that we're able to lift restrictions in July, it means that my supper clubs can now reopen, and they sell out. I'm so very lucky. I've got such a great following in Northamptonshire, and they sell out more or less as soon as the dates are released. So, so my supper clubs, and obviously with events, I've got lots of events around the UK for various food festivals. And what have you. So it's a good busy day, a good busy time ahead, and then I think I'll just have to regroup for next year in terms of being able to travel again. So we were due to be going away in the summer for 3 weeks, as we do every year, to our villa, but I actually cancelled it off my own back, and I just thought I can't actually do with all the the stress and the hassle.
Yes.
So it's just it's unnecessary this year. So I'm just going to focus on getting the business where it needs to be now, getting back into classes, because there's lots of people that are waiting for classes and events and things like that. So yeah, focusing back on the business, and hopefully eating out in some lovely restaurants to support some fabulous independents at some point as well. So
yeah, so support the local producers, and obviously, everybody says on social media that if you book and you can't go, people, let them know.
Absolutely, it's just manners, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's just manners.
One, it's good manners, and two, these people have had a really tough time. They need as much income as they can get at the moment. Oh, well, thank you very much for your time today, Carmel. It's been an absolute joy talking to you. As I say, thank you
now.
Yeah, me too. As I say, definitely stomach saying it's lunchtime now. But yeah, so we've met virtually. Hopefully, either when we come back over to England, we'll meet up at a show, or if you do get over to do one of your cooking things in Rimini or whatever, we'll meet up there.
Yeah.
Okay, have a fantastic weekend. Thanks again.
Thank you. Take
All
care.
right. You too. Bye-bye. It was a joy talking to Carmela. I need to brush up on my pasta making skills, so I'll definitely book a course when I'm back in the UK. If you like what you've listened to, please review, comment, and maybe rate us 5 stars to spread the word. Please also subscribe so you get your next podcast the minute it comes out. Allora a dopo!